1985 mr2 window won't go back up. So I think the motor's jammed. First thing I did is turn the key on and try the switch, and if the light's dim and nothing's doing, it could be the motor's jammed. So the first thing you do is there's a screw right here. Take that off. Take this plastic cover off. Pop these caps off with a small screwdriver. Take these 3 screws out, and then everything just pops. Just unsnap it, and this thing lifts off. Once that lifts off, take them to try to get to the motor. We've got 1, 2, 3 screws. This is kind of in the way because you're going to take the motor out through here. One way to test your switch is I put a voltometer on right on this thing, and you're supposed to have 12 volts positive, and then when you reverse, switch up, switch down, it's supposed to switch from 12 volts positive to 12 volt negative. If that's working, that means your motor's jammed up somehow. If it's not working, this switch is easy to take apart, and just kind of get a screwdriver in there and pry it apart and clean the contacts inside that switch. That's if you're not getting positive 12 volts one way, negative the other way. Alright, so now I got the motor out. This motor, when you take these 3 bolts off, I can use this hole to access the screws, and so I kind of move it. It's a little flexible, so you can move it around behind this hole and take out these 3 screws. And once you take that 3 screws off, that'll pop out backwards and then kind of fall down. And then when you take it out, the first thing I did is I unscrewed the cover here, and I noticed there's grease all over the armature here. Other than that, the gear looks fine. In some cases, when this gear is screwed up, you have to get a new one of these plastic gears. You can't get them online. You just pry it off, put another gear. So if it's missing tooth or cracked, that's another way of doing it. So what I did is I cleaned these brushes up, made sure the brushes are still springing, and all I saw was grease on there. So I used brake clean and some emery cloth and cleaned it back up. And we'll see if that's my solution. I'll just put everything back in reverse order. Another thing you can check, make sure it's not the motor. Just make sure your cables are all in place, haven't popped off in there. And that's about the easiest thing. I think on my I have a 92 mr2. I don't think this hole exists, so it might be a little trickier getting to the screws.